Hi guys, and a very warm welcome to this video series on Kilohertz Phase Plant. My name is Larry Holcomb, aka Get to Know, and I'm here to deliver this video series for you for Groove 3. Okay, so Phase Plant is a modular synthesizer, and within that we can combine various different synthesis techniques. So it's a very versatile, flexible synthesizer. We've got analog oscillators, we have samples, we have wavetables, and we have a noise generator. So we've got loads of different options to create our initial sound. And of course, then we can filter and process these raw sounds in different ways. We also have this kind of library of effects called snap-ins within Phase Plant where we can further push the sounds. We also have our usual suspects like envelopes and LFOs to modulate the sound over time. And these can be used to affect any parameter pretty much. We can also kind of delve into audio rate modulations to create an FM and similar style synthesis techniques as well. So a very, very powerful and very, very flexible synthesizer. Now in this first video, we're going to have a look at the interface in a very kind of zoomed out way. I've got a preset loaded up here just so we can see things in action or see some modules loaded up. Now to start with, we have the top bar up here. Now this is where we can choose our presets. You can see we have a browse button here. So if we come onto here, you can see all the presets separated out into different categories, and we could just double click to load one up. You can also use these arrows here to go through, like so. Now beneath the preset area here, we have the macro controls. Now if you're used to using synths like Massive and the newer version Massive X from Native Instruments, you'll be used to that kind of concept of macros. Also Spire has macro controllers. It's where you can essentially route one controller to control multiple parameters, which is a great way of having a single knob really bring a sound to life over time. So these will be already routed in terms of the presets, but we can also go through and create our own routings as well. So these are a great way of changing up the sound if you're using presets. You can load a preset up, and then you can use these macros to change it quite drastically often. So a great way of having fun with the presets. Now, just moving down here, this is the generator area. So generators are another name for kind of oscillators essentially, but they're called generators because it's not just oscillators that are stored within here. We could have samples as well. There's a noise generator alongside the analog oscillators and the wavetable oscillator as well. This is basically where we can combine oscillators and sound generators to create our raw sound that we're going to then process further. Now moving across to the right here, we have these three lanes, which is where we can house what are called snap-ins. Now this is another word for effect. So we can create effects chains within here. You can see lane 1 here, we have a transient shaper, a chorus, and a limiter. Lane 2, a delay and a filter. So you can see you can create these kind of effects chains to further process the sound. Really powerful stuff. Now just moving down here, we have some kind of global settings here, things like glide and polyphony, master pitch and bend range. And then beneath that, we have the modulation section. So here you can change parameters of the synthesizer over time using low frequency oscillators, envelopes, or a MIDI input as well. Now we have one extra area which is currently hidden, which is this little keyboard area that we can bring up here. So we can click on that to hear the synth at work. And this will also allow us to see the notes we're playing as we play them on the MIDI keyboard. Okay, so that's the interface, just at a basic level. Now, something to be aware of here, obviously we have knobs and sliders on here. They can be changed as you'd expect by clicking and dragging on the mouse. Now for fine increments, we can hold down Shift and we can double click to reset a parameter as well. In this case, it's taking it down to 0, as you can see there. Now, as well as being able to click and drag here, we right click, we can actually add a value in by using the alphanumeric keyboard like so. Okay, so that's the interface covered. Let's just have a look at the presets. So often it's quite nice when you first get a synthesizer to play through some of the presets. So to do that, as I said, we come up to the top bar here, click on Browse, and now we'll get this kind of library of presets that appears on the left. And this is known as the preset browser. Now to load a preset up, all we need to do is single click on it. If we double click on it, it will load it up and it will close down the browser. Now the preset browser, you can see the factory sounds are divided up into folders, different types of basses, chords, so on and so forth. So loads of different types of sounds that have been created here. Now you'll see here we have a user area, which is going to house any presets that we create, but also we can add in our own locations like so. We can choose to add a folder in on the hard drive, and that will show up within FacePlant as well. So if you wanted to have quite a detailed list of presets, you can do that using the locations function. Now we have the ability to search within here as well. So let's say we choose mallet. You'll see it's come up with any presets that have mallet in the name or have got a tag of being a mallet sound. You can see there. Now what's quite useful as well is we have forward and back buttons here, like you'd expect to see in a internet kind of browser. Now another useful function here is to be able to right click and set a preset as a default, which is quite good. So if you find you're always going to FacePlant for a certain sound, then you can actually go and right click on that and select it. Now once we have a preset loaded up, we can actually rename it from within here as well, or from the top bar here. So we can select it and then put in whatever name we want. And you'll see on the list here that we have some kind of pretty high profile presets here. You can see Rob Swire from Pendulum has created some presets here. So that's a really nice addition to the synth. Now what's more, we can select a preset as being a favorite like so. Come over to favorites and you can see there now access from within here. So again, if you find yourself using kind of similar presets over and over again, you can save them within your favorites and they'll always appear there. Okay, let's go ahead and save a preset. So let's load up this bacteria bass. Now let's imagine we wanted to save this as a new preset. Click save here. It's going to appear in user. I'll call this Merry Bass. You can put in my own name as well, my initials. Click save. And if we come back to the browser, within user, we have that saved in there. So that way you can create your own library of sounds that you've made within FacePlant and save within that user folder. Okay, so that's going to be it for the first video on FacePlant. So what do we now know? Well, let's just come out of the browser here. So we know that FacePlant combines various different types of synthesis, analog, wavetable. It has a sampler and a noise generator. So it's going to have loads of flexibility in terms of the type of sounds that you can create. We know that this is the top bar up here where we can see the preset that's selected. We can also access our preset browser from here. We have macro controls down here. We have our generators, which is the name for the kind of sound sources, the oscillators, samplers, etc. We then have these snap-in effects divided into these lanes. Global controls, usual kind of things like glide and polyphony and bend range, etc. And then modulation section located at the bottom here with the keyboard accessible by clicking on the little keyboard icon. And then we had a look at the presets, separate out into folders. You can choose different folders to access those presets. Single click to load one up, double click to load it up and close down the browser. We can favorite presets. We can save presets using the save function and it'll go into that user area. We can make our own locations as well. And whenever we want just a raw kind of initialized patch, just click on new and we'll get an empty FacePlant, which I'm going to be using a lot through the video series to kind of build things up from scratch. And then also remember, let's just choose a preset from here quickly. So remember that, simply drag up and down with the mouse to change a dial, shift click for fine increments, double click to reset, right click to add in your own value. Okay, so that's going to be our first video on FacePlant. And now we know where everything's located and what it's called at a basic level. We're going to carry on and start looking at our generators and building sounds up. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.